Some serial killers make the headlines, but the most terrifying ones lurk in the shadows, their stories left untold. Welcome to Behind the Bloodstains, where we uncover the dark and forgotten cases of history's most elusive murderers. From chilling crime scenes to the twisted minds behind them, we dive deep into the stories that never got their spotlight. Until now, because every bloodstain has a story, and some are still waiting to be uncovered.
This podcast contains disturbing content that some listeners may find upsetting. The following episode includes descriptions of true crimes, violence, and discussions of serial killers. Listener discretion is strongly advised. If you're sensitive to these topics, you may want to skip this episode.
Welcome back, true crime aficionados, to Behind the Bloodstains. I'm Lena Blackwell.
And I'm Damien Cross. Welcome back to our Black Widow series. Last time, we set the stage with the dark legacy of Belle Gunness, and tonight, we're continuing our descent into these haunting stories with another case that's as unsettling as it is unforgettable.
That's right, this is our Black Widow series. We're going to be unraveling the twisted webs spun by women who, often operated right under everyone's noses, leaving a trail of, bloodstains.
Indeed. And for our second episode in this series, we're delving into a case that's it's chilling because of the sheer audacity and, honestly, the almost comical nickname attached to a truly horrific individual.
Oh, absolutely. Today, we're talking about Nannie Doss, or, as she's more infamously known, wait for it, the Giggling Granny.
The Giggling Granny. I mean, Lena, just hearing that, you almost don't believe it, right? It sounds like a character from a children's book, not a woman responsible for multiple murders.
Right, it's so disarming. You picture someone sweet, maybe a little eccentric, but definitely not someone who would casually poison family members and multiple husbands. It's such a stark contrast to the reality of her crimes.
It really is. And we're going to peel back those layers today. We're going to explore her very peculiar life, the motivations behind her actions, and how this seemingly innocent woman became one of America's most prolific and, dare I say, unique serial killers.
So prepare yourselves, because the Giggling Granny's story is anything but funny. We're about to dive deep into her early life, her search for, quote, the real romance of life, unquote, and how that twisted desire led to a path of destruction.
It's a journey into the mind of someone truly extraordinary in the darkest sense of the word. So, settle in.
Okay, so let's just get into it. Nannie Doss, born Nancy Hazel, was quite the character, to say the least. She was born on November 4th, 1905, in Blue Mountain, Alabama, and she died on June 2nd, 1965, at the age of 59, in the Oklahoma State Penitentiary.
It's surprising she lived that long, given everything she was doing. And the more we dig into her story, the more those nicknames start making sense.
Yeah, long life, all things considered, but definitely not a good one. And, the nicknames alone, Damien, they tell a story, don't they? We already mentioned the Giggling Granny, but she was also known as the Lonely Hearts Killer, the Black Widow, and even Lady Bluebeard. Can you imagine having so many macabre monikers?
It's wild, right? Especially the Giggling Granny, because it completely belies the horror of what she actually did. It's so unsettling to think of someone capable of such heinous acts, being associated with something so seemingly innocuous, like giggling.
It really is. And the actual numbers are just, even more staggering. We're talking about an individual, Nancy Hazel, who was responsible for the deaths of 11 people. 11! Between 1927 and 1954. That's a 27-year span of just, continuous, calculated murder.
Unbelievable. Lena, when you hear those numbers, it's it's not a one-off thing, right? This wasn't a crime of passion or a single tragic incident. This was a pattern. A very, very long pattern of eliminating people from her life, usually for, as we'll get into, pretty specific reasons.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just, strangers or vague acquaintances either. This woman, she confessed to killing 4 of her husbands.
4?
Yeah, 4 husbands. And then also 2 of her own children, one of her sisters, her mother, 2 grandsons, and even a mother-in-law. So it was just... her orbit was a dangerous place to be.
Yeah, if you were in Nannie Doss's inner circle, your life expectancy probably wasn't looking too good, unfortunately. It paints a picture of someone who, just had this incredibly dark side.
So, Damien, we've touched on the sheer scale of her crimes. But to really understand Nannie, I think we need to go back to the beginning. Her early life. She was born Nancy Hazel, as we mentioned, in Blue Mountain, Alabama in 1905.
Right, and it wasn't exactly a picture-perfect childhood, Her father, James F. Hazel, sounds like he was just, awful. Controlling, abusive. Both Nannie and her mother apparently really disliked him.
Yeah, I mean, the context here is important. He was a railroader, then took over the family farm in 1920, and he just forced his kids to work. Like, actively prevented them from going to school. Can you imagine? That explains, in part, why Nannie had such poor academic performance. She just wasn't allowed to get an education.
That's just so restrictive. And, you think about the impact that would have on a developing mind. No school, just forced labor, and an abusive parent. Not a recipe for, a well-adjusted adult. And then there's this train incident.
Oh, the train. Yeah, she was 7 years old, traveling with her family, and the train just, abruptly stopped. She hit her head on a metal bar. And for years after that, she apparently suffered from severe headaches, blackouts, depression. She actually blamed a lot of her later mental instability on that accident.
Interesting. I mean, we can't definitively say, obviously, but a head injury at that age, especially when she's claiming it led to blackouts and depression, could certainly have played a role in affecting her brain chemistry or impulse control down the line. It's not a direct cause, but it's a significant factor to consider in her background.
Absolutely. It's a piece of the puzzle. But despite all this, Damien, despite the abuse, the lack of schooling, the physical ailments, Nannie had this. Escapism. Our favorite thing to do was read her mother's romance magazines. And she'd just, dream of her own romantic future.
Oh, the irony. The real romance of life, she called it. And it's she's dreaming of this idyllic love story. But her father's still forbidding them to wear makeup, attractive clothing, go to dances. He thought it would prevent them from being molested. It's just so contradictory.
It is. And her favorite part of those magazines? The Lonely Hearts column. She was actively seeking this ideal, this perfect love, even though her reality was so starkly different. It's really tragic, in a way, before it becomes, outright terrifying. She was just looking for love in all the wrong places. And had some very dark ideas about how to maintain it, I guess.
Well, it's that classic dichotomy, isn't it? The person who dreams of this perfect life, this perfect romance, but their actual life is just falling apart. Or it's so bleak, and for her, that dream twisted into something truly sinister.
So she's dreaming of this ideal romance, Damien, and then boom, she's married at 16. To a guy named Charlie Braggs, who was her co-worker at a linen factory.
16? Wow. And her father approved, too, after only 4 or 5 months of dating, which is, progress from the no dances rule. But it sounds like she just traded one controlling situation for another, right? With Charlie's mother.
Oh, absolutely. She later wrote about it, I married, as my father wished, in 1921 to a boy I only knew about 4 or 5 months who had no family, only a mother who was unwed, and who had taken over my life completely when we were married. And then she adds, she never seen anything wrong with what she'd done, but she would take spells. She would not let my own mother stay all night. It's just complete control.
Ugh, a live-in mother-in-law who's, completely dominating the situation. That's a tough start to any marriage, let alone for a 16-year-old. And what happens with that marriage?
Well, they have 4 daughters, between 1923 and 1927. So that's a lot of pressure too, right? And with the mother-in-law situation, Nannie just starts spiraling. She starts drinking, her casual smoking becomes a heavy addiction. You can just picture her feeling completely trapped.
Yeah, and it sounds like both of them were pretty unhappy, because they both suspected each other of infidelity, which, when you're that stressed and you have that kind of environment, it's probably a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then tragedy strikes, or something very suspicious happens.
Oh, it does. In 1927, they lose their 2 middle girls to suspected food poisoning. Suspected?
Suspected. Right. Given what we know about Nannie, that word suspected is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. I mean, 2 children within a marriage that she's clearly unhappy with, and she's already spiraling with alcohol and cigarettes. It's quite a coincidence.
It really is. And shortly after that, he takes their firstborn, Melvina, and he flees. He just leaves Nannie with the newborn, Florine. It's like he's just had enough. And then his mother dies not much later.
Wow. So he just bails, leaves her with a baby. You can see how that would reinforce any feelings of abandonment or anger she might have. And she has to pick up the pieces, takes a job in a cotton mill.
Yeah, she does, to support herself and Florine. But then, in the summer of 1928, Charlie comes back with Melvina, but is not alone. He's with a divorcee and her own child.
Oh, wow. So he comes back, but with a whole new family dynamic already in tow. That's just adding insult to injury. No wonder they divorce soon after.
Exactly. And Nannie takes her 2 girls back to her mother's home. But here's the kicker, Damien. Charlie brags for the rest of his life, always maintained he left her because he was frightened of her.
He was frightened of her. That's a huge red flag, isn't it? Like, this is her first husband, and he's already seeing something so sinister, so terrifying in her, that he flees. And that's before she really, truly starts her deadly pattern. It makes you wonder what he saw or experienced.
It really does. It's like, what happened in that household beyond just the usual marital squabbles that would make him genuinely scared for his life, or for Melvina's? It's chilling to think about, considering the trajectory of her life.
Wow, so Charlie Braggs was genuinely afraid of her. That's saying something, isn't it? After everything, he just knew. So what happens after this, Lena? Does Nannie find her true love, the real romance of life she was dreaming of?
Well, she tries, Damien. She really does. Her second husband, after Charlie, was a guy named Robert Franklin Harrelson. They met and married in 1929, so pretty soon after the divorce.
Okay, so, new chapter. New man. Was he, the Prince Charming she was looking for?
Not exactly, unfortunately. They moved to Jacksonville with Melvina and Florine, her 2 daughters. And after just a few months, she discovered he was, get this, an alcoholic and had a criminal record for assault.
Oh, wow. So, from one bad situation to another one, maybe worse? An alcoholic with a record, that's not exactly the picture of domestic bliss, is it? But despite that, it says this marriage actually lasted 16 years. That's a long time for someone like Nannie.
It really is. You'd think, given her track record and her apparent desire for perfection, that she'd ditch him pretty quickly. But no, 16 years. And during this time, her daughter Melvina starts having children. She gives birth to Robert Lee Haynes in 1943.
Okay, so grandchildren enter the picture. That usually softens things, right? Or, adds more chaos.
Well, it definitely adds something. Another baby followed Robert 2 years later, in 1945. But this baby died soon afterward. And this is where things get really, really chilling.
Oh, here we go. I've got a bad feeling about this.
So Melvina, the mother, was exhausted from labor and still groggy from the ether. The anesthesia. She thought she saw her visiting mother, Nannie, stick a hat pin into the baby's head.
Whoa. Wait, a hat pin? Into the baby's head? While she's, coming out of anesthesia? That is just horrific.
Absolutely horrific. And when she asked her husband and her sister for clarification, they said Nannie had told them the baby was dead. And they actually noticed Nannie was holding a pin.
Oh my God. So they saw it too, or at least they saw the pin. And the doctors, what did the doctors say? Did they just brush it off?
The doctors, for their part, couldn't give a positive explanation. It was just, unclear. But you can imagine Melvina's mind. She's just given birth, lost her baby, and she has this vivid image of her mother, the Giggling Granny, with a hat pin.
Ugh, that's just... I can't even imagine the trauma. And the grieving parents, Melvina and her husband, they drifted apart after this. And Melvina actually started dating a soldier, which Nannie apparently disapproved of.
She did. And this is where it gets even more sinister. While Melvina was visiting her father, Charlie Braggs, after a particularly nasty fight with Nannie, her son, little Robert Lee Haynes, died mysteriously under Nannie's care. This was July 7, 1945.
No, the first grandchild, Robert, the one born in 43, he dies too, under Nanny's care?
Yes, the death was diagnosed as asphyxia from unknown causes. Again, that classic, we don't know why. And 2 months later, Nanny collected the $500 life insurance she had taken out on Robert.
$500 for a child. I mean, it's just mind-boggling, isn't it? How this pattern it's forming. It's not just husbands anymore. It's her own family, her own blood. And the insurance money, again, right? It's always about the money.
And the lack of suspicion from authorities or doctors at this point is just astounding, given everything that's happening around her. But, it's a small town, different times maybe. It's a clear pattern developing.
Okay, so we've got the insurance money, the mysterious deaths of the grandchildren. This woman, Nanny, she's really becoming something, isn't she? So what happens with Robert, this husband, Robert Harrelson, after all of this? Does he just, live happily ever after? Or, as happily as one can live with Nanny around?
Oh, Damien, you know the answer to that. Definitely not happily ever after. This is where things get even more direct. In 1945, after all the grandson stuff, Harrelson allegedly, he raped Nanny.
Wait, he raped her? So a direct, personal transgression against her.
That's what's alleged. And Nanny, she didn't waste any time. The very next day, Lena, she put rat poison in Harrelson's corn whiskey jar.
Rat poison. Just, like, right there, in his drink. Wow. She was not messing around, was she? Like, immediately after this alleged act.
No, not at all. It was swift. It was decisive. And, he died that very evening. Just like that.
The same evening. So no lingering illness, no unknown causes this time. This was a clear, targeted act. And it really just solidifies, I think, this pattern we're seeing. If you're inconvenient, if you're a problem, if you cross her, she has a solution, and that solution seems to be poison.
Absolutely. It's like she's really found her method, The subtle stuff with the hat pin, the asphyxia from unknown causes. That was a bit of a test run, maybe. But with Harrelson, after this alleged rape, it was just like, okay, you're out. And I know exactly how to do it. It's chilling, actually, the efficiency of it.
Wow. So, that's Harrelson out of the picture. And Nanny, she's free again. And, if I'm remembering right, she's still looking for that real romance of life, right? So what's next on her husband hunting list?
Well, exactly, Damien. She's back on the market, so to speak. And guess where she finds her next target? Another Lonely Hearts column, of course.
Of course. Why wouldn't she? It's her preferred method of finding victims, I guess.
Pretty much. This time, she's traveling in Lexington, North Carolina, and she meets Arlie Lanning. And get this, they marry. They marry 3 days later.
3 days? That is fast, even for her. She's really not wasting any time between these incidents.
No, not at all. It's like a whirlwind romance. For Nanny, anyway. And Arlie, he's an alcoholic. He's a womanizer, much like Harrelson was. So, a type, maybe?
Right, so she's got a type. Or maybe she knows what kind of person is susceptible to her charms and her eventual plans.
Perhaps. But here's an interesting twist with Arlie. In this marriage, it was actually Nanny who started disappearing. For months on end, apparently.
Oh, that's new. She's usually the one staying, laying low while the husband's out doing whatever. So she's getting bolder, almost? Or maybe just taking a break?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. Bolder, but also, she'd come back and play the doting housewife. Like she'd be gone for ages, then pop back up, all sweetness and light.
Uh-huh. And then what happens to Arlie? Because I'm guessing sweetness and light doesn't last for long with Nanny.
You'd be right. Arlie eventually died of what was times said to be heart failure.
Oh, said to be. I'm starting to hear that phrase, in quotation marks, in my head every time we talk about one of Nanny's partners.
Exactly. The townspeople, they actually supported her at his funeral, thinking, oh, poor Nanny, she's lost another husband to natural causes.
Of course they did. She's got this, innocent act down pat, doesn't she? She's the grieving widow.
She really does. But then, the weird stuff continues. Soon after Arlie's death, their house, which was actually left to Arlie's sister, it mysteriously burned down.
The house burned down? And the insurance money, let me guess, went straight to Nannie?
You got it. Right into her bank account. And then, as if that weren't enough, Arlie's mother, she died in her sleep. Not long after the house fire.
So the husband, the house, and the mother-in-law, all gone, and Nannie's walking away with insurance money. Again,
It's a pattern, but it's escalating, isn't it? Like she's just clearing house.
it really is. It's almost like she's tying up loose ends, you know? After Arlie's mother died, Nannie just left North Carolina. On to the next adventure.
Yeah, exactly. She just packs up, and this time she ends up at her sister Dovie's home.
Her sister Dovie? Okay. Is Dovie, is she, like, healthy or?
Well, actually, Dovie was bedridden. Yeah, she was not in great health.
Oh boy, I'm already getting a bad feeling about Dovie. I mean, Nannie shows up, and suddenly people who are, not in the best health, they tend to just pass away.
You're not wrong, Damien. And sure enough, soon after Nannie's arrival, Dovie dies. Just like that.
Of course she does. So that's, what, another family member? First the grandsons, then her mother-in-law, now her sister. This is like a family purge.
It really is. She's certainly not discriminating when it comes to her victims, is she? But it doesn't stop there.
Oh, it doesn't? Who else is on her list then?
Well, before she even finds her next husband, which is, her usual MO, she actually poisons her own mother, Louisa.
Her mother? She poisoned her own mother? Wow. That's a whole new level of cold-blooded, isn't it? Just like a preemptive strike before the next marriage even begins.
Yeah, Louisa came to live with Nannie in January 1953, and Nannie just poisoned her. It's mind-boggling, isn't it? The sheer audacity of it.
It really is. It's almost like she's just, like I said, clearing house, getting rid of any potential, witnesses or people who might cause issues, or I don't even know, Lena. This woman is truly something else.
I know, right? It's like she had a quota of people she needed to eliminate, I guess. And, speaking of looking for her next husband, she actually joined a dating service this time.
A dating service? Wow. So she's gone from like coworkers to Lonely Hearts columns, and now she's like online dating basically for her time. That's progress, I suppose, in her twisted world.
Yeah, a dating service called the Diamond Circle Club. And it didn't take her long. She met Richard L. Morton of Jamestown, North Carolina.
Richard Morton. Okay. So what's his deal? Is he like another alcoholic? Another philanderer? What's Nannie's type at this point?
Well, actually, this one was a bit different, Damien. They married in 1952 in Emporia, Kansas. And he actually didn't have a drinking problem.
Oh, a curveball. No drinking problem. So what was his fatal flaw then? Because we know there's always a fatal flaw when Nannie's involved.
Exactly. His flaw, unfortunately for him, was that he was adulterous. He was a cheater.
Ah, the infidelity. So you're saying Nannie's idea of a faithful partner involved? Not cheating? And if you did, well, you know the drill.
Pretty much. And Morton died 3 months later on May 19th, 1953.
3 months. That's almost generous compared to some of the others, isn't it? But yeah, another one bites the dust. So this is her fourth husband now.
That's right. 4 husbands, 2 children, a sister, her mother, 2 grandsons, a mother-in-law. I mean, the list just keeps growing, doesn't it? It's really quite shocking.
It is. And it's so chilling how it's always like the same method. She's not like mixing it up. It's always a quiet, insidious poisoning. It's really, it's unsettling.
It is. It's a very intimate kind of murder, isn't it? And, it just goes to show, if you're Nannie's romantic partner, or even just family, and you displease her in any way, shape, or form, you might not have very long to live. You would think that after 4 husbands dying under mysterious circumstances, people might start to connect the dots. But somehow, she still managed to find a 5th.
Unbelievable. It's almost like she had a force field around her that just prevented any suspicion from really sticking. So who was lucky number 5?
Well, her 5th husband was a man named Samuel Doss. And get this, he was a Nazarene minister.
A minister? Wow. That's a different demographic for Nannie. I mean, we've had factory workers, alcoholics, womanizers, cheaters. Now a man of God. Did he have any of the typical fatal flaws we've come to expect?
Well, he didn't have a drinking problem or a wandering eye, surprisingly enough. But he did have a major point of contention with Nannie. He apparently disapproved of her romance novels and stories that she adored.
Oh, come on. So the man who was supposed to be her real romance of life objected to the very thing that fueled her fantasy? That's almost poetic in its irony, isn't it? Like, that's what gets him? His dislike of her books?
Right? It's pretty wild. And so Samuel, he was admitted to the hospital in September of 1954 with flu-like symptoms.
Flu-like symptoms. Sounds familiar.
Exactly. The hospital diagnosed a severe digestive tract infection, and he was treated, and, they released him on October 5th.
Okay, so he's home, he's recovering, everything seems, on the up and up. For a minute.
Well, not for long, Damien. Samuel died on October 12th, 1954, just a week after being released.
A week? Are you kidding me? A week after leaving the hospital, feeling better, he just dies? That's a bit too coincidental, even for Nannie Doss.
That's what his doctor thought too, thankfully. Apparently, Nannie killed him that evening, in her rush to collect the 2 life insurance policies she had taken out on him. So, it was quick.
Wow. So she was just rushing it at this point. That's probably what finally tripped her up, the urgency.
It was. His doctor was sufficiently alarmed by the sudden death and ordered an autopsy. And, well, you can guess what they found.
Oh, I'm guessing a whole lot of something that shouldn't be there. Arsenic, right? The classic Nannie special.
Precisely. The autopsy revealed a huge amount of arsenic in his system. And Nannie was promptly arrested. Finally.
Finally! Oh my gosh, it took 5 husbands, 2 kids, a sister, her mom, 2 grandsons, a mother-in-law, for someone to finally put the pieces together. It's almost, it's horrifying, but you almost wonder how she got away with it for so long.
I know. It's incredible. But yeah, Samuel Doss's death was the one that finally ended her reign.
So she's arrested. Finally. What happened next? Did she try to deny it, or?
You would think, but no. She actually confessed, pretty quickly. In October of 1954, after Samuel's death, she finally spilled everything.
Everything? All of it? The whole 11 victims?
Well, she confessed to killing 4 of her husbands. Her mother, her sister, one of her grandsons, and her mother-in-law. So yeah, a pretty extensive list. Not all 11, but still a significant number.
Wow. So, that's a lot of confessing right there. And given that she confessed to all these, you'd think they would just charge her with every single one of them, right?
You would, wouldn't you? But no. The state of Oklahoma, where she was arrested for Samuel's murder, they actually centered their case only on Samuel Doss.
Just on him? Really? Why? After all those confessions, why wouldn't they just go for the whole thing?
Well, I think it was partly strategic. It was an open and shut case with Samuel, given the autopsy. And she was prosecuted by J. Howard Edmondson, who actually later became the governor of Oklahoma.
Okay, so they had a really strong case, and maybe they just wanted a conviction. And what was the outcome for Samuel's murder?
She pled guilty on May 17, 1955. And she was sentenced to life imprisonment. The state didn't pursue the death penalty. And it was, apparently due to her sex, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's a bit of a loophole right there, isn't it? So she got life, but she was never actually charged with any of the other deaths she confessed to? Not the other husbands? Not her mother? Not the grandson?
Nope. Never charged with any of the other deaths. She died from leukemia in the hospital ward of the Oklahoma State Penitentiary in 1965. She was 59.
So she just lived out her days in prison. And I guess, for all the horror, it's a kind of grim end to her story. No more real romance of life there, huh?
Yeah, it's quite the irony, isn't it? This woman always searching for that elusive, real romance of life, and then she ends up, well, alone in a prison hospital.
It just makes you wonder, though, what was really driving her? Was it genuinely this search for love? Or was it, just all about the money? The life insurance policies were definitely a consistent theme.
I think it was probably both, to be honest. She had this idealized version of romance, probably fueled by those magazines, right? But then, when reality hit, and these men weren't meeting her expectations. The financial incentive was just too convenient.
Yeah, it's like a twisted form of problem solving. Oh, this one's not working out. Well, there's a policy. But it's wild to think she was dubbed the Giggling Granny. Like, after all this, she still had that demeanor.
It's truly chilling, isn't it? The sheer disconnect. She giggles while confessing to 11 murders. It's hard to wrap your head around the mind of Nannie Doss.
It really is. I mean, Nannie Doss, or the Giggling Granny as she was so disturbingly known, is a case that it leaves you with more questions than answers sometimes.
Absolutely. And she truly earned her place in our Black Widow series, leaving behind a trail of bodies, all in this strange, twisted pursuit of, well, romance, and of course, those life insurance payouts.
Yeah, it's a chilling reminder of the dark side of human nature. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode of Behind the Bloodstains, part of our ongoing Black Widow series. We really appreciate you listening. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into another notorious figure. And if you enjoyed this episode, please, leave us a review or share it with a friend. It really helps us out. Until next time, stay safe out there.
You've been listening to Behind the Bloodstains, where the darkest stories leave the deepest marks. If you found this episode chilling, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. It helps us keep uncovering the cases that history tried to forget. Want more? Follow us on social media for exclusive content, behind-the-scenes looks, and updates on upcoming episodes. And if you have a case you want us to cover, let us know. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and remember, sometimes the past refuses to stay buried. This has been a Dark Echoes Media production.